The Oklahoma Sooners are picking up big-time momentum for some big-time prospects.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire at USA Today Sports. And on today's show, we're going to ask some burning questions. But first, who leads the Oklahoma Sooners defensive backfield? We'll discuss that in the third segment. In segment 2, Jaydn Ott talk, how he's going to impact the Oklahoma Sooners this year. But we got to start with this. It's recruiting season, and Oklahoma has been picking up some commitments in recent days, but they picked up some crystal ball predictions, Rivals future casts, on-3 predictions for a couple of elite prospects. We'll do this chronologically, starting with the one that happens in the 2026 class, Jake Kreul. Steve Wiltfong, the vice president of recruiting and the transfer portal for On3, predicting the Oklahoma Sooners to land the elite edge rusher, Jake Kreul.
Jake Kreul is the name that we've all been excited about hearing about. He's the edge. He is number 37th. He's ranked 37th in the country. Number 7 edge. He is a top easy 100. ESPN has him as a 5-star at number 21 in the country. Rivals technically has him as a 5-star because he's 28th in the country there. And the expectation is with Rivals as well, with 247 as well as On3, that he should skyrocket up and potentially be a 5-star plus, similar to a PJ Adebaware. Kreul's a beast, 6'2.5", 220. I think he's bigger than that at this point. And game recognized game. He was at the Rivals 5-star camp, and he was abusing other players. Like, he was abusing one specific offensive lineman. That was very fascinating to see, that he was destroying him in drills. And so we know that Miguel Chavis has had a very good in here. All the articles and reports we've seen over the last few weeks, John, is that Jake loves him some Miguel Chavis. So since that's the case, I think Oklahoma's going to seal the deal and make this done. Now, do they do it now? Is it something that drags on into the season? I don't know, but it does sound like Oklahoma holds the keys in this recruitment, and they're probably going to end up winning it.
Yeah, whether it's a commitment that happens in the coming week or weeks, or one that takes until the early signing period, it's significant that Steve Wiltfong put in a prediction on this. He doesn't typically put one in unless he's feeling really, really confident that that's where it's going to go. But Oklahoma's going to have to keep recruiting him, whether he commits now or 5 months from now. Oklahoma's going to have to continue to fend off guys or teams like Texas, Ohio State, Florida, Colorado, Ole Miss. Like, everybody's coming after him. I counted 36 Power 4 offers. And that's not all the offers. He's still got some group of 5, some FCS offers, teams that were trying to get in on him when he was like a true freshman, probably, and hoping that they could build that relationship and he would maybe fly under the radar somehow. Well, that didn't happen. He's one of the top prospects in the 2026 class. And if you've seen some of the highlights, I've shared some things over on our YouTube channel. You can check out from our guy, Brian Smith, over at the portal. He's shared some shorts and some clips of him at different camps, and you can see the technical refinement that comes with Jake Kreul. He's just a really, really good defensive end. He's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the strength to be able to hold up in the run game, but he's a tremendous pass rusher. And that's going to be the thing that really defines him at the next level, is somebody who's going to be able to get to the quarterback. He's going to be able to affect the passing game, and he's going to make plays in the backfield. He's just really, really good. He's got the power. He's got the speed. He's got the quickness, the lateral agility, really everything that you're looking for. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see him end up as a 5-star in the cycle. I bet when Rivals does their next update, he's going to have that 5-star moniker next to his name, whether he's a top 30 player right now or not. He's going to be a 5-star because of the way that he performed at this Rivals camp. Felix Ojo, a 5-star offensive tackle that has offers from Texas, has an offer from Oklahoma, kind of spurred the Oklahoma official visit to go to Utah instead. Jake Kreul made him look kind of silly. And listen, one-on-one position battles and one-on-one drills aren't always going to favor the offensive tackle in these situations, because playing offensive line is very much a team effort. At the same time, it wasn't even competitive. And my dude Jake Kreul did a backflip afterwards. Like, that's like the bat flip of, like, he just walked it off and did a bat flip. Like, that's how impressive this pass rush move was. He's just dynamic, dude. And I hope that Oklahoma can seal this commitment, get him to signing day, get him on campus, because as we talked with Brian Smith of the portal and of Locked On, I think it was last month, he called him the most refined, or technically refined, high schooler he's ever seen at defensive.
Yeah, Brian Smith was raving, excuse me, about him when we talked about him, and talked about him being the most refined. And that was at a young age. That was before he's even at this point. He's as a true freshman. He had that refinement already. And I think that he's going to be able to continue to grow from that. And watching him in the videos from Rivals, John, he was abusing him so bad. Like, it was so quick how he was able to get his move in and get over to where he needed to. I just need Miguel Chavis to close this deal, sign, seal, deliver it, and bring us in this good luck, because it does feel like, though, we are on a heater now on the recruiting side, especially on defense. We're starting to see a lot more of the defensive players starting to come in and trickle in. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to build that team that we've been hoping for years, a team that's heavy on defensive first, and then bring in some nice offensive weapons. But we can't sleep on it, because we also got ourselves a nice little future cast also on the list.
Yeah, so Peyton Houston, the 2027 quarterback out of Louisiana, was predicted by Parker Thune a year ago to land with the Oklahoma Sooners. Well, his partner in crime over there at OU Insider and Rivals, Brandon Drum, has been kind of hedging. You listen to their podcast, the OU Insider Under the Visor podcast, and he's like, man, I feel good, but I'm just not comfortable putting in a prediction yet on Peyton Houston. And I've heard him say that multiple times over the last 4 or 5 months or so. Well, he finally dropped that Rivals Futurecast favoring the Oklahoma Sooners to land Peyton Houston. And listen, Houston has a chance to be as good a quarterback as Oklahoma's recruited in recent years.
Yeah. Oh, he is talented. And watching some of the videos of him from that Rivals camp, because this is basically what's happening. The Rivals 5-star camp is happening. All the people are out there watching a lot of these prospects. And they're watching, and Brian Smith, actually, from the portal here at Locked On, had posted a tweet about Peyton Houston. He's like, yeah, he's ridiculous. He's ridiculously good. He's like, Peyton Houston's talent was undeniable today. Here, listen to me when I say that. Peyton Houston's talent was undeniable today from someone that does recruiting stuff, as a daily. And so he was out there.
And he's from Florida, covers Florida State. He has no Oklahoma bias. So take
zero
what it is. Yeah.
Zero Oklahoma bias. And Sam Spiegelman was posting videos of him launching it there inside the Colts, like his training facility or whatnot. And boy, was it looking good. It looks beautiful. And so he's another one that we've been after. Like you said, Parker Thune has thought that, he predicted him a year ago on the exact same day a year later. Brandon Drum is going to jump on board with it. And then you start to see others say the same thing. Like, yeah, I think Oklahoma's going to win this one. And so it's a year out. I don't try to get too excited about 27s. Things can change. The last time we had quarterbacks commit a year earlier than they normally would, they ended up decommitting because of major changes. But the way that Oklahoma is to put together right now, I don't see any changes at front office or OC and quarterback coach for these 2 years. And I think that this is one quarterback that our current OC actually wants.
Well, and I'll say this. Parker Thune put in his Rivals Futurecast when Seth Luttrell was still the offensive coordinator.
Yep.
So it's been 2 different offensive coordinators. You get 2 different predictions. Peyton Houston seems to seriously like what Oklahoma has to offer. And if Ben Arbuckle happens to be a one and done, which I don't think he's going to be at offensive coordinator for Oklahoma, I still feel really, really good about their chances of landing him. Because again, Brent Venables vibes, OU vibes. I think it's pretty well publicly stated one of his favorite players was a former Oklahoma quarterback.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray. So like, not that that's going to be the end all be all, but he seems to be in on what Oklahoma has to offer as a program, not just the coaching staff.
Kind of was like that with, the last quarterback that just recently committed to Oklahoma in Bo Bentley, because he's been a huge Oklahoma fan his whole life. John Mateer was too. Just saying.
Baker was too. I mean, hey, it mattered. Listen, it may not matter all the time, but sometimes it does matter.
A lot of the time it matters, actually.
Listen, especially if you're playing quarterback, where else better to go to play quarterback than Oklahoma? QBU.
Agreed.
4 Heismans in the last 20 years, a number of Heisman finalists. So, I mean, come on. So
let's get it.
Jake Kreul, Peyton Houston, both predicted to Oklahoma. Will Jaydn Ott be the difference maker in the Oklahoma Sooners run game? We think he will, but just how great can he be? We'll discuss coming up next year on Locked On Sooners.
Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Rougiette Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that you can take hours, Rougiette 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast. On average, about 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If a traditional option hasn't worked, Rougiette might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have made the switch already. You can even read real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in those moments. So head to Rougiette.com/LockedOnCollege and use the code LockedOnCollege and get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Coming up in the third segment, we're going to ask the question, who leads the Oklahoma Sooners defensive backs? I got a strong opinion on that. But first, Jaydn Ott was a big spring portal acquisition for the Oklahoma Sooners, somebody that everybody's basically projecting to go ahead and be the starting running back for the Sooners. He's got a lot of production from his time at Cal, had a little bit of an injury plagued 2024 season, but everybody's expecting the bounce back year.
Yeah, a lot of people are expecting this is the year that he can have his bounce back. He was dealing with the ankle injury most of last season at Cal, so he didn't put up the numbers he did, but 2,500 yards in his first 2 seasons in college football. I mean, that's kind of enough to let you know that, oh no, this is like a legitimate dude. If he wasn't dealing with that ankle injury that 1 year, maybe he's got over 3,000 yards with ease as a starting running back. And he became the focal point for them, right? Fernando Mendoza was a solid quarterback there, but at the same time, everybody saw what Ott did with 1,300 yards in his sophomore season, true sophomore season. They're like, no, we can't let this dude destroy us again. That was the focus. And of course, it's the ACC and they're traveling cross country. So it's kind of a weird year for Cal overall. But this is what Oklahoma's been wanting and needing. It's been a number one back that has a proven track record of being a number one back for multiple seasons. And so for Oklahoma, we talk about John Mateer 99% of the time, and we rarely really say much about Jaydn Ott. He's a dude that's considered like one of the top 2, actually I'll say top 5 just to be fair, top 5 backs in the NFL draft coming up. And in most places, they consider him number 2, John. So if he's considered to be that talented after and not even playing in the SEC yet, if he goes out there and the line shows what we expect them to, dude could go out there and rush over 1,000 yards and people are going to be like, wait, where did he come from?
Yeah, I don't know if it's underselling it to say that Jaydn Ott is the X factor for 2025.
Oh, 100%.
Yes, John Mateer matters, but if you don't get a run game going in the SEC at the University of Oklahoma, you're looking at an average season. And you've got to get the run game going. Jaydn Ott has got to be a focal point of this offense. He's got to take the pressure off the passing game. You're not going to be able to sling it around 50 times and win. You're not going to be able to run John Mateer 15 times a game and win. You're going to have to be able to run the football. We saw what they were able to do against Alabama. You shorten the game by taking the air out of the football, running the football, and dominating the line of scrimmage. If you can do that week in, week out in the SEC, you're going to win a lot of football games. As much as I love the passing attack, as much as I love watching wide receivers run routes and catch balls out there, got to get the run game going. It can't be simpler than that. Even in the modern era of football, it still matters who controls the trenches. Oklahoma's got to have a bounce back year, and it's got to be led by Jaydn Ott.
Yeah, and that's the fascinating thing is you really think about it. They're going to run John Mateer probably 10 times a game. But the even better part about that is that if you have Jaydn Ott running with John Mateer, you got two people to respect at all times in just the run game. That takes more pressure to me off the wide receivers than it does anything else, because if Mateer goes back into a pass and he decides that he's going to tuck and run, he finds the right hole that's open, or he scrambles out and takes off, defenders are going to have to turn around and go after him. Well, the wide receivers at that point, if they clear out properly, there's an opportunity for him to throw one of his little sidearm things at him, and they're going to be wide open on a regular basis. But then they're going to be like, all right, we got to pay attention to the quarterback in his scrambles. We got to pay attention to these wide receivers. Well, if they do a little screen pass to I can just go, boom, he's gone. Or you just hand him the ball. Then you got play action opens up. John, there's a plethora of possibilities. And I'm going to be honest. I purposely don't talk about Jaydn Ott very much because I want him to be the big surprise for a lot of these people. I want everything to be on shoulders of John Mateer, because when he goes out there and be like, wait, y'all ain't really said much about this dude. Like, I know. That was by design. We want him to just surprise you. And he's going to continue to be ignored because regardless, last season, the number one conversation was quarterback play. And so we got to answer that. We answer that. John Mateer is going to answer that against Illinois State. But then you're going to have Jaydn Ott be able to add you some more. But even better, John, imagine Jaydn Ott with Michael Hawkins as well. It's not like it's a situation where only one quarterback is going to be able to be successful with them. I can see both of them being successful with them.
And listen, I think he's going to be the first Oklahoma running back to rush for 1,000 yards since Eric Gray. We're going to get back to that. And I know you've got talented running backs like Xavier Robinson, Taylor Tatum, Javonte Barnes. You've got Torrey Blaylock waiting in the wings. This is Jaydn Ott's show. He didn't come here to be a rotational back. He didn't come to Oklahoma to run the ball just 10 times a game. No, he came to Oklahoma because Jim Nagy wanted him, and he wanted him to be the bell cow. He wanted to lean on Jaydn Ott. And so Oklahoma's going to lean on Jaydn Ott, and he's going to be very productive. He's going to put together a big season. A lot of teams are going to focus on shutting down John Mateer in the run game. In the read option, Oklahoma's going to be able to run that and kill defenses because defenses have to respect John Mateer. They can't crash down the line of scrimmage and just focus on Jaydn Ott because John Mateer will sneak out the backside and pick up 10 yards before everybody even knows that he's got the ball still. So Jaydn Ott is going to thrive because they're not going to be able to crash down. They got to respect John Mateer in this. And I think he will. He's not going to be somebody that goes down easily. He's going to find the hole. He's going to hit it hard, and he's going to be able to break tackles. He's got good contact balance. He's got everything that you want in a lead running back. And now it's time to go put up big numbers. And he's going to do that.
He has all the capabilities of that 100%. Now the question is, John, and this is something that we're going to have to table for another day. So make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Who's going to be the one right behind Jaydn Ott going forward? Who is the other back that's going to be out there potentially to produce with Jaydn Ott? That, my friend, is the question.
Yeah. And briefly, I think it could be any number of guys any given week. Just depending on how that practice goes that week, how DeMarco Murray's feeling, somebody performed in practice that week. We know DeMarco Murray loves to use practice as a gauge for how he gives out carries. Jaydn Ott's going to be your bell cow. What falls behind him, that could be a week-to-week thing. And I know that that's going to frustrate Oklahoma fans to no end, but that's the way it's going to be.
I'm mad at you for that.
Be mad. Be mad at me. Don't be mad at DeMarco. DeMarco's doing what he can do. And he's trying to let people earn it on the practice field. But yeah, we'll discuss that in greater detail on another occasion because Oklahoma is absolutely deep at running back. They're also really deep at defensive back, in particular safety. But who leads the Oklahoma defensive backfield coming up next year? We'll discuss coming up next year on Locked On Sooners. And today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. For my wife and I, we've been looking at this and we've seen how much we're using on subscriptions and sometimes on takeout. We got the kids, my daughter's got Alpha Gal, so only specific places can she go out to eat. But that adds up, and we're able to track that through Monarch Money and see, man, we're maybe spending a little bit too much on takeout. So we're starting to scale back so that we can save over this next year and hopefully make a bigger purchase come in 2026. But Monarch Money is helping us track our spending and get more serious about where we can save. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year over at monarchmoney.com. Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Also, go check out Ryland Styles and the Locked On Thunder podcast for all of your post-NBA championship needs. But Jay, we're going through some burning questions that the Oklahoman asked. They asked one for every position group, and we decided, hey, we're going to take one of these as we go throughout the offseason, as we get towards fall camp, and we'll ask one of these. Well, the first one we're going to start with is, who leads the defensive backfield with Billy Bowman's departure?
You know, I felt like it was going to be easy when you look at the veteran presence there, but I end up being conflicted. Now, I know you probably have your name in your mind, so I think I'm going to go ahead and let you give yours first, because I think I'm going to have some pushback on who you're going to select, because I have a feeling on who it is. But who you got, John?
All right. Well, I'm going to go with the guy that I think is going to be an All-American this year, and that's Robert Spears-Jennings.
Ooh.
This is a kid that was part of the 2022 recruiting class. He's a 4-star prospect out of the Tulsa area, and someone who has just grown into his role every single year more and more. He's earned more and more snaps every single year. When you talk about guys that trust the process, in the dictionary, it's defined by Robert Spears-Jennings.
I can totally see his face there. And I don't disagree with you there.
Go back to the 2022 season against Kansas. We saw him for like 5 snaps. And Jaydn Daniels is running, or Jason Bean. It was Jason Bean. He's running left, trying to scramble down the sideline. Robert Spears-Jennings pulls a Billy Bowman against Jalen Milroe and just absolutely, or not Jalen Milroe, Luther Burden, excuse me, getting all my memories confused.
All convoluted in one place.
Remember in the Big 12, excuse me. Tear. Jason Bean and Robert Spears-Jennings just flattens him with speed on the sideline. He has grown so much. He's developed so much over the last few years, and he had a great start to the season in 2024. You go and you remember the big hit on Nico Yamaleava that forced the fumble down near the goal line. You remember the forced fumbles, the interceptions. He was making plays all over the place.
The sack on Peyton Thorne at the end on that blitzed call. Oh.
Just absolutely huge plays in the first half of the season. He's going to be even better this year. And
you're 100% right there. Now, I'm that's kind of a little surprised on that pick. I was thinking somebody else out of your mind. But I think that Robert Spears-Jennings is probably the one that should be the one to step up. But I don't think he's going to be the one that's going to become the big leader, de facto leader of this defense. I think the de facto leader of this secondary is going to end up being Kendal Dolby. And I say that because he's going to come back from that injury. He's already been fiery. Everyone's always talked about how fiery he is and how he always actually plays with his hair on fire in multiple positions on there. I expect him to be put in so many spots from cheetah to DB on a consistent basis and to where he can blitz or whatnot, that he's going to be in the ear of everybody at all three levels and be that leadership dude. So to me, I think Robert Spears-Jennings is probably going to end up being an All-American. He has every single tool to do that. But I think the one that's going to take the leadership spot that Billy Bowman had of being the dude that runs around back and forth, I think Kendal Dolby is going to end up stealing the spotlight there. Now, Billy Bowman would tell you it should be Peyton Bowen. That's the guy that Billy's has said in numerous occasions that he's that dude. He just needs to remind himself that he's that dude and go do it. We'll see if he gets that point. But honestly, I think Dolby's the one that I'm gonna put all my chips in on him. That he's gonna be the one that's gonna change the game for him.
Yeah, so we'll find out. There's a lot of really good defensive backs in this room. Robert Spears-Jennings, Kendal Dolby. If either of those guys has a big season in the secondary, Oklahoma's defense is going to be really, really good. The great thing about Kendal Dolby, Jay, and you've touched on this on a number of occasions, is that he might play some cornerback for you because you're a little bit deeper at Cheetah with guys like Reggie Powers III and Kendall Daniels coming over from Oklahoma State, that you might be able to flex Kendal Dolby around a little bit depending on the matchup and depending on how you feel like your cornerbacks are performing week to week or throughout the season. If you feel like you need more veteran presence out there at corner, Kendal Dolby is your guy. Like, that's your Swiss Army knife, can do it all, has seen it all, an emotional leader for this team. Absolutely. And has a chance to make himself a lot of money if he can come back healthy and stay healthy, because remember back to 2023, how instrumental he was against Texas. This is a guy that has a chance to be an all SEC type player. And if you think that that's crazy, just remember the big plays that he made in that 2023 season, whether it was against Texas, against UCF. The dude just makes plays. He made them before he got injured last year. He was making plays. He's a playmaker. And you've got a lot of those in your secondary where you didn't have them before. But Brandon Hall, Jay Valai, Brent Venables, the defensive staff have put together a really nice secondary. A sleeper one here, Jay, Eli Bowen. That's one of those guys, like, I know I should probably be talking about a freshman All-American a little bit more than I do. And I apologize to the Bowen family for that. But Eli Bowen just did everything right. He did everything you'd ask a player to do. And as a true freshman, earned significant snaps. So if there's a guy out there that's an underclassman that could be the leader of this defense, I mean, Eli Bowen is the one that fits the bill there. Somebody that is stepping up, getting put into situations that nobody expected him to be in as a true freshman, except for maybe Eli Bowen. And he showed out.
He could be. Another one to even consider there too, you got Gentry Williams. And with Gentry, he's known for being a leader. He just hasn't been healthy for this past season. If he's good after the multiple, looks on that shoulder and it comes out well, man, he could end up being another de facto leader of that room. He's rated high. He can ball. All I got to do is see him be healthy. And that's actually another one that we can keep your eyes on. He could be also the next one that could end up being one of the leaders as well, between him, Eli, Dolby, Peyton. The good thing is you got a good amount of actual veteran presence. And I know at least two of them are vocal about it. We know Robert Spears-Jennings is very vocal. We know that Kendal Dolby is very vocal. If Gentry's vocal and Peyton's vocal, you may have yourself a nice conglomerate group of guys that's going to be pushing everybody else. I just need them to show up on the field this year. I just need the DB room to be one of the bigger strengths while this defensive line is out there putting in work. We get that. This defense, the sky's the limit. Because we just need really good reaction time. We didn't have that last year. We didn't have really good reaction time. We also was filtering through a lot of dudes. We was dealing with health, and we was transferring guys in. So you were getting a lot of Kanai. You was getting some Des Maloney. You was mixing it up a lot. You want some dudes that can go out there and one-on-one line up with somebody and it be it. So Eli, we've seen do it. We've seen Gentry do it before. Now, and we've seen Dolby do it. So now if all three of those are at the level of health that we need, John, there's no way we should be dusted out there.
If there's any room and group that needs a good season on defense, it's cornerback. Underperformed last year, and I think that's a nice way of saying it. They've got to be better. if Oklahoma's defense wants to be elite, cornerback has to be much better than what it was. You've got guys that are capable. You just got to have them healthy. Starting with Gentry Williams, has to have a healthy season. Again, a 4-star prospect in the 2022 class. We've seen the flashes. It's time to get healthy. It's time to stay on the field. Time to break out. It's Gentry Williams time. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then and all off season long. Boomer
Sooner. Got a good shot on some of them players, man. That Kreul. Oh my gosh.
He is too good.